Hi, my name's James O'Keefe. I'm captain of the Massachusetts Pirate Party, and I'm joined by
Malt Schlitzman.
who's also with the Pirate Party and our events coordinator. We wanted to talk. There's an election coming up on this Tuesday. Polls open at 7 a.m., right, and close at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Absentee ballots, we believe people should vote. We believe in democracy, and absentee ballots, you can go out if you can't get to the polling place on election day. You can pick those up. You can request them from your city or town hall, or the elections department or town clerk by noon tomorrow. We'll have links to different documents and other stuff in the comments. And you have to get those in by 8 p.m. tomorrow. So, go fill it out, drop it off at your city town hall tomorrow, and you should be all set. Early voting's over. That ended last Friday. But still, you should vote come election day, this Tuesday. So, Malt, what are the Pirates' viewpoints on the ballot?
Well, we are very strongly supporting questions 1 and 3. Question 1 being the safe nursing patient ratio, which would set specific minimums for the number of nurses allowed to serve a number of patients. For example, in emergency services department, we would be looking at 1 critical or intensive care patient per nurse, or upgrade that to 2 if the nurses assess them as stable. In maternity wards, active labor patients would be 1 patient per nurse. Pediatric or other units would be 4 patients per nurse. So the groups that have come out in favor of question yes are very much labor unions, patient advocate groups, and individuals for whom serving the least protected among us is in their mission statements. You see a lot of industry groups, a lot of hospital lobbying firms coming out in the no on question 1. Groups for whom spending millions of dollars in election time advertising isn't a crippling financial blow. So question 1 is pretty firmly coming down in a people versus power scenario. If you're pro people, vote yes. If you're pro corporate power, vote no. Obviously on our stance on that, it's going to be with the people. Question 3, that's the one I've been doing the most volunteering for. So 2 years ago, transgender individuals were granted prohibitions for discrimination in places of public accommodations. For example, hotels, stores, restaurants, theaters, sports facilities, and even hospitals. People are making question 3 out to be about bathrooms, but it's actually a lot more than that. Individuals in Massachusetts have been denied medical care in the past before these protections were put in power.
Transgender individuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with question 3, a vote yes on question 3 keeps in place the protections that the state has. A no vote would repeal these protections. So with question 3, a lot of the opposition has been focusing on the bathroom issue and trying to make it out like that there are going to be sex offenders who use these non-discrimination laws as like an excuse to infiltrate women's bathrooms and abuse women. And that's not the case.
Abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter who does it.
Right. Yeah, these laws do not provide a shield for abusers. They have not been used in the past. There's been 0 public safety incidents related to trans folks in bathrooms in Massachusetts. So it's really just a nasty transphobic bad faith argument on their part.
So the no opponents are basically just bigots.
Yeah.
Yeah, same little cockroaches coming out of the ground.
What's especially frustrating to see the ground level organizing on this. The religious right has been reaching out to trans exclusive groups, like a lot of second wave trans exclusive feminists have been partnering with Christian right wing organizations to try and split the LGBT community and try and separate trans folk from the rest of queer America. And that's really depressing. It's frankly frustrating to see folks who could otherwise work together being wedged apart on this one incredibly divisive issue.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't understand. Equality for one is equality for all. And it's kind of amazing to me that there are people who don't see it that way, who are like, I want my equality, but I don't believe that others should have equality because they're different or I don't like them. It's like, that's not what the Constitution's about.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm not going to be safe in public until trans people are safe in public.
Absolutely.
If we let's think about a world wherein this passes. If like who's gonna check if someone looks like a woman and wants to use the woman's bathroom, they should be able to use that bathroom. If someone identifies as a woman but does not look convincingly like a woman, they should still be able to use the bathroom of their choice. So, like, are we going to have people standing outside gatekeeping bathrooms now? Like, if I let my hair grow long, is someone going to start harassing me?
Or even as we've seen in the past, men going into bathrooms. It's like, men, oh, I'm here to protect women. I'm like, then what are you doing in the bathroom, idiot?
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, I mean, we've even had, I mean, I've talked with other Pirate Party members who are LGBTQ, who, are women who can be identified as men and they identify as as a woman, and yet they've gone into the women's bathroom and we told, well, you shouldn't be here, you're a man. And it's like, she's like, no, I'm a woman. And so, it isn't just trans folks, but there's a whole bunch of people who, there are gender norms and there are gender stereotypes that are going to hinder people who, are viewed as men and women. And so this is just about equality. But as you said, it isn't a bathroom bill. It's hospitals, it's restaurants, it's hotels, any sort of accommodation. It's just equality. That's all we want people to vote for in Yes on 3. And the Yes on 3 people have been exceedingly active. I've gone like you and volunteered in some of their events. My family has volunteered as well. And they're really active and they're really doing a good job in making sure that, we don't just win this by a majority, but we win out of the park, right?
Yeah.
Now, this used to be our World Series in 2018, making sure we absolutely hit it out of the park and we win this one overwhelmingly, so that the transphobes, who are really just, a lot of them are really just homophobes as well, won't feel emboldened to try this in another state.
Yes, this is passed in Austin, Texas before. Austin had trans protections. The Fear campaign ran, and the protections were stripped by a public vote, just like we've got going on in Massachusetts. With everything that the Trump administration is throwing against the trans community, it is more vital than ever that we step up and we say, like, no, you're not going to divide us on these lines. You're not going to oppress one group, to keep the rest of us in line. We have to we have to show a united front against this kind of human rights abuses, because that's really what this is. They're trying to empower the most prejudiced contingent of society to start, acting like police, to start harassing or to start feeling empowered to harass people. And we've had that happen in American history before, and we ought to know better by now.
It never ends well. So we haven't taken a position on question 2. That would create a commission, 15-member commission, to look at amending the U.S. Constitution such that money would not equal speech, if I recall correctly. So what are your thoughts on that? We haven't taken a position on that. We normally are against corporations having more power than people. But what's your thoughts on that?
So we definitely agree with the spirit of the question. The issues that we've run up to are a lot of the same issues that the Green Rainbow Party posted about in their guide to the questions, which is that while anyone who's a citizen of Massachusetts can apply to join the commission, they're going to be selected by the governor, secretary of the Commonwealth, and the state attorney general, and the speaker of the state house would be the ones appointing it. So it's
not
really,
exactly democratic.
Yeah, the fear is that this could further entrench one or two party rule in Massachusetts, and that it would be corrupted by the system. The
Right.
Right. So the commission would be required to research and take testimony regarding the impact of political spending in Massachusetts, any limitations on the state's ability to regulate corporations and other entities, recommendations for constitutional amendments, an analysis of constitutional amendments introduced to Congress, and recommendations for advancing proposed amendments to the U.S. Constitution. Those are all good ideas in theory, but if we have a group of 15 people that are acting in bad faith, that are like in the pockets of the alt-right, that would be a terrifying amount of power for 15 hand-picked individuals to have.
Plus, the other critique I've heard is that there are various states that have called for a constitutional convention, and last I checked, I think there were only a handful of states, maybe even 2, that they needed to get in order to get the minimum number of states. And that's been led by our right-wing effort to roll back protections we have in the Constitution. We've heard Trump talk about getting rid of the 14th Amendment and not having, you're born here, you're an American citizen. That's just the way it is. Which is actually the case in all of North America and most of South America. That is what the law is. And those, to be honest, those were a lot of those states were slave states when you think about it.
Yep.
Look back at history. So, if we go and use this as we become one more state, if we have a constitutional convention just for this issue, we don't know if they will be limited to just that issue. It's a constitutional convention, and if we get pro-corporate, pro-1% folks who are in there, we could see a lot of the protections that we're fighting for now just be flat out eliminated.
Yeah.
So,
so
on the, we haven't made any endorsements about particular candidates. Unfortunately, there's no Pirates running this year, but we'll put something in the link if you're interested in running in the city or town elections next year. We're looking for candidates for that. And we have a sign-up form people can sign up to. My thoughts are, look at the third-party candidates. There are various Green Rainbow and Libertarians who are running. Don't go with the 2 main parties unless you feel those are what you believe in. But definitely take a look at the third-party candidates that are running. They may not win, but still the higher the percentage they get is a benefit to all third parties. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts?
So out in Worcester, the ballot was pretty fairly heavily stacked in favor of the Democrats. Central Massachusetts has been kind of a conservative stronghold in the past few elections. I'm honestly kind of worried that Massachusetts is going to lose its reputation as a safe blue state. So, I mean, I voted Green Rainbow as often as I could. You know, not going to go against Elizabeth Warren and the congressman that I like, McGovern.
McGovern has been good on some of our issues. Warren,
Yeah,
yeah, yes and no. Depends on the issue.
you know, I like.
I mean, she
I
goes
like.
to FOSTA after all.
Yeah, she's generally decent. Like she generally makes decent headlines. I like that she upsets conservatives so much. Um, the blood test thing was questionable, but I mean,
Whatever.
leave it up to an establishment Democrat to play the conservatives, play by the conservatives' rules.
Well, I hope she gets her $1 million.
Yeah, you know, like what's another lawsuit going to do against Donald Trump?
Yeah, even a judge said when Trump was claiming that a lawsuit would distract him from the presidency, and the judge cited Trump saying to various people, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna sue you for what you said about me." It's just kind of like he's his own worst enemy, man.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, he's also screwed up with his tax cuts and sending more troops more troops to the border than are in Iraq.
Yeah, it's red meat right to his base. He knows that he can't. Like the conservatives have basically given up trying to reach across the aisle, trying to convert voters, and I think the Democrats are still trying to play the respectability politics games. But we're America is polarized to a point where no one's trying to sway the undecided middle. It's all about riling up your core supporters, and it's an enthusiasm gap. I've seen the enthusiasm gap on the question 3. Yes on 3 signs are everywhere. I've not seen one no on 3 sign. Some of the other volunteers have run into plenty of virulent objectors on the phones, but I'm excited about the prospects of question 3, if only because people are not openly opposing it like they are with question 1. But yeah, this is definitely like a rally the base type situation. No one's going to be switching sides.
Yeah, but still, so many people don't even feel like the Democrats or Republicans are interesting enough or will actually support them, and they sit out the election. And even if you don't vote for any of the candidates, please vote for questions 1 and 3. So Desmond's been leading the effort for the vigil we're having on the 16th of February. That's going to be that's focused on calling into question the laws that have put in place in regards to sex workers, in penalizing sex workers, and how that has harmed them both. Mostly because of the lives that people lose their lives when cops can't be there to protect them if they get abused because they fear they're going to go to jail for being a sex worker. So we're helping to organize that on December 16th. Also in 2 weeks is the Boston Anarchist Book Fair. We've been helping the Crypto Party folks. They're going to do a talk on digital privacy and digital security. And in addition to that, the Mass Mesh folks are going to be there talking about their efforts to bring a community-controlled ISP. And that's going to be the 17th, I believe it's 17th to the 18th, it's that weekend at Boston University. So we encourage folks to show up there at the Boston Anarchist Book Fair. Do we have any other events coming up?
None that I'm aware of. I really want to hammer home that anybody watching this who is engaged in let's say maybe some gray market economics, some questionable substance habits, really ought to look into digital security, especially on the phone. Um, like people who use recreational drugs are going to be next on the chopping block for the Trump administration. So I definitely expect some kind of crackdown within the next 2 years. So, like, the more secure we make our communications, the more we're going to be able to protect our communities against police violence. So, you know, like the Anarchist Book Fair, if that name kind of makes you uncomfortable, go to the talk, listen to the crypto party folks. It's your own digital safety at risk. So,
Absolutely. Encrypt early, encrypt often. I mean, there's simple things people can do, having a different password on for every account you use, having a passphrase in your phone, encrypting your phone if it doesn't already come back encrypted, if it isn't automatically set up to be encrypted, encrypting your hard disk, choosing good long passwords, even one that's like 4 or 5 random words together in a phrase that you can understand. Those are just good, simple techniques people can use. Using password managers, if like you and I, we've got lots of different accounts, you can't remember them, and the password manager is great. It'll choose like a random 30-character password. If that ever gets revealed, they're not going to figure it out if it's a random 30-character password.
yeah.
So one other thing I'll plug is we put out a petition. There's a bill before the Senate. It passed the House. Unfortunately, a lot of Massachusetts members support. Massachusetts House members supported it, and that would, if in cases of trafficking, which we know is a very broad definition and will basically cover anyone in sex work, in that case, they can just go to your bank and say, "Give us the bank records." No warrant required. And
Yeah.
we definitely believe in everyone deserves. Everyone's data is their own, and it shouldn't be the case that the government can get it without warrants. So we have a petition. We'll link to it, just like the other things, in the comments here, and folks can go and sign that. The more people that sign it, the better off. The stronger it'll be when we bring it to Senators Warren, especially because she's on the committee that's considering it, but also Senator Markey. Because people don't know this, but any member of the Senate can put a hold on a bill. We've seen this with Ron Wyden. He's done that to a number of bills, and that'll just kind of stop it in its tracks. It makes it harder for the Senate to bring it forward. And so just having members say, the Fourth Amendment rights of my constituents, whether they're sex workers or not, are of paramount importance to me, and I'm going to oppose this bill and put a hold on it. So that's all we're asking for. That's something that's easy enough to do. We just got to convince Warren and Markey to do that. So any final thoughts?
So SESTA and FOSTA have turned out exactly as sex workers said they would. Shutting down Backpage. People are getting abused. People are getting murdered. People are going missing. Pimps are back in power. Women are getting exploited. It's a horror show. And the idea that this law is only going to affect human traffickers and sex workers is nonsense. How it happens is that's the excuse that the law uses that the legislators use to pass the law, and then the law gets applied to whatever they want. Usually, it's substance users. It could be, brought up in like nasty divorce cases. If someone brings a child over state bounds, it's any law we give them is going to be used against us in the way that is maximally effective for the lawmakers. So this is definitely a cover our own asses situation. It's, if if you wouldn't want your monthly bank account statements nailed to your front door, then you want to shut this law down.
I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you very much for, it's good to see you. Good to have you back. We'll also link to Desmond did a really good talk at our Pirate Party conference about the history of sex work and both ways to control it and ways that are more liberatory in terms of letting people control their own bodies and what has been done in different countries. And Steve put the audio up. We have some of it
cool.
Somewhere here. We'll make that available in the links. But thanks so much, Malt, and have a wonderful day.
You
and
too,
vote,
Captain.
Folks, vote. Do vote.
Everyone vote. If you are refused at the ballot, or if you're refused at your polling place, you can request an absentee ballot, or you can request a provisional ballot. I believe if you are not registered.
Right.
So don't let them tell you no.
Right. You can always vote and then contest it after the polls close. But if the ballot isn't in by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, it's not going to be counted at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, vote early, but don't vote often. All right. Take care. Thanks so much, Malt.
See ya.
Bye.